Hi, my name's Carlton, and I'm here to share with you about one of my favorite operating systems called Menuet. Menuet is written entirely in assembly, and it was 32-bit, now it's 64-bit, and I think you're going to enjoy it.
Who's that?
Well, that's Todd Palin's wife, three-time Iron Dog winner. Now, over here is Menuet, and I really enjoy it. These guys that wrote it are pretty swell. They'll give you help. Here's their forum. I encourage you, if you ever go to an operating system, get into the forum, sign up for it. If you don't want people to know your email address, get a fake one. But get help on a forum, and man, that'll just bring you up to speed in no time at all. So we're going to download Menuet, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a folder here on our desktop. We're going to name it Menuet. That way we know that that's the folder where our Menuet is. That way you won't be losing anything. So I've made my folder. Now I'm going to go over here to downloads. And Menuet, like I said, is written entirely in assembly. Now I can download it in a zip file, which will go on a floppy. Or I can download their installer. They have an installer that works for Windows right there. And that's what I'm going to download. Now it's an executable. And sometimes people tell me, oh, I can't run an executable on my computer because my boss will find out or something. No problem. We're just going to run it inside a folder and then we'll delete it later. So we're going to click on that executable. Now take note, I would not download an executable from just anyone. But this is an operating system and they have a good reputation. And so this executable is going to be fine. So I'm going to save it to a file. And the file I'm going to save it to is going to be the one I made on the desktop there, Menuet. And so I save it there. Now what I like about this is that you don't have to do any work here. This is so easy. I've saved it there. We're going to open this up. I'm going to move this web page over for just a minute out of the way. So there's my executable that I downloaded from the Menuet web page. Now we're on version 66. And here we go. You just click on that executable, and this is what I love about it. I mean, it just pops right up with the Menuet disk writer. It says throw a floppy into disk A. So that's what I'm going to do, into drive A. Now, take note that you use a new floppy. People use old floppies all the time, and there can be issues with it. So try to use a new floppy. They're only like 25 cents a piece. So now we're going to write to the diskette. And while it's writing there, I'm going to show you something over here. I have a friend named Jenny Myers, and she was my Sunday school teacher, and she has a ministry now helping orphans in India. And I want to encourage you to go online. It's oilofjoyministries.com, or you can type in Jenny Meyer, and contribute if you want to contribute. And also you should contribute to Menuet too. If you're using their stuff, it's worth at least $15-20 bucks, so consider it. So now we see the Menuet disk writer is writing, and it'll be done any second here. And I just love it's all automated now. It used to be you had to do a little thinking. Now you don't got to think at all. And it'll be done here shortly. Now the forum, if you're over at the forum, it has help for the 32-bit or the 64-bit. And if you want to add things to it, you can do that too. Submit it to them, and then they will check it out. If it works, then they'll use it. Now we're going to reboot. Tells you right there to reboot and get into Menuet. Most people, when you reboot, you're going to have to get into your BIOS so it'll boot off the floppy, and that's usually going to be the escape button or F12 or something of that nature. And we're going to do that too. And while we're doing the rebooting here, let me remind you of this: when you're writing down passwords, here's a couple tips. You might want to have at least a 16-digit password if you're using Windows, because Windows doesn't copy passwords past 16 bits or 16 digits. It just puts it in a file. And also you might want to use the additive angle on a 1 so you can tell the difference between a 1 and an L. And you might want to underline letters if it's a capital. That way you can differentiate between uppercase and lowercase. So now we're going to tell our BIOS to boot off the floppy. And it will here. It's doing it right now. Now, keep in mind that these guys write all this stuff on their own time, and that's why I really feel that people should contribute something. So it's doing what it's doing right now, and the thing about assembly is assembly talks directly to the hardware. All right. Windows goes to an MTFS shell, which talks to a kernel, which talks to the hardware, or talks to assembly then the hardware. Unix goes to the C, which then goes to the Solaris kernel, which talks to the assembly, which talks to the hardware. But assembly just talks straight to the hardware. So that's kind of cool. Now you can also put this on a CD. Remember, if you put it on a CD, you want to make that CD bootable in your CD software, because an image file isn't naturally bootable like an ISO file. This is not an ISO file, it's an image file. So you're going to have to make the image, the CD itself, bootable. And here we go. So Menuet is setting up right now, and really I think that's pretty slick for an operating system written in assembly. So it's got a whole bunch of stuff. First thing we'll do is look here at the system. And I like looking at the registers. Now it's 64-bit, and so we have 64 registers. And if you look up all these letters over here on the side, those are all different registers that the operating system is using while we're using it. So you'll see the numbers change as we move things around and whatever. The numbers will change because all those registers are being used. Now I'm not going to go into them too deeply because it would take forever. But that's one cool thing. You can see how that stuff is going on. Here's another cool one, the CPU usage. This is kind of cool. You can see right here, it kind of gives you like a graph type thing. You can see how much of your CPU is being used. Let's say you were to be programming in FASM or something like that. You'd want to know how much you're using. And so that's pretty handy as well. And speaking of coding, it's got FASM. This assembly is FASM assembly, which is same thing with Calibri. And so it has all kinds of tool sets there for you. And it has, get on the internet here, you have clients and servers, things of that nature. It has audio, the CD player and all, you can play CDs. Right now it's booted off the floppy, but it's loaded in the RAM. You got things you can draw with and tools of that nature. You got a calculator here. And then you got games, and I like the games. My favorite is Hunter. And Hunter, it's just clicking. There we go, click on start. Now you just start shooting. Hunter, you pretty much just want to kill everything that looks your way, and that's how you play Hunter. And so this is pretty cool. And remember, this is all in assembly. So you can't get this from Windows. You can't get this from Sun. This is only from Menuet. And my game's over. So, whoops, did it again. So that's a part of Menuet. Now, there's also, here you see hard drive and CD. There's other games that are on CDs that you can put in here and play on Menuet. So you have all kinds of interesting things like that. And then you have like a screensaver type thing. And this one here, now a lot of people will think, well, that's just a common screensaver. That is far from a common screensaver. That is written entirely in assembly, and no other screensavers are. And so as you see it, the definition of it and everything, that's some really good work. So that's Menuet, and it's one of my favorite operating systems. I love it and enjoy it, and I hope you do too.